This episode is proudly sponsored by Amber L. Contact us today to learn how you can be a part of the vibration experience. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vibration, where I empower individuals to speak their distinct truth, passions, and personal message on a global online stage. I'm your host, Michelle McDonald, passionate author, speaker, and entrepreneur, and I am absolutely loving the current theme of Representation Matters, Faces of the Caribbean. And I really feel as though it is encompassing a lot of what it means to be Caribbean and all of the parts that we are made of. We started off talking about our language with Cache Knowles, and we dived into Bahamian Creole, something that we should be extremely proud of, and something that is really coming a lot more into the market, and Bahamians are showing their pride. Secondly, we had Diana Luke King, and she spoke about how arts and crafts are deeply connected to our culture. Also talking about how we have generational wealth and loss when it comes to the teachers of these great designs, which is the same here in the Bahamas when we think about straw work. Tonight, we are diving into the local artist, Preston Hanna, and we are going to talk about the shared soul of the Caribbean, because although we are different islands and countries, there are things about us that unite us no matter what. With a significant achievement of attaining a bachelor's degree in art education through winning a scholarship with the Central Bank of the Bahamas, this local artist is unstoppable. Bahamian-born Preston Hanna is revitalizing the artistic landscape through his socially conscious, multidisciplinary approach to Bahamian art. His bold colors and distinctive strokes are a snapshot of how Bahamian culture has evolved to encompass our indigenous people, Africa, and all that is uniquely Bahamian. Hanna's depiction of Bahamian themes and motifs is a reminder that beauty is not always demure and in need of affirmation, but can be bold, secure, modern, and inclusive. Through Hanna's inclusive philosophy and multidisciplinary approach, his art commands our attention. He is a philanthropist and known for his choreographed dance and art show entitled Prestonism, for which we are inspired by his seamless movement between the two art forms. His artwork is displayed all over the world in celebrity homes and within the Bahamas. Some of the most prolific and notable locations include Clifton Heritage Park, Bahamian, C.V. Bethel Senior High School, and at the largest entertainment center in the Caribbean, Fusion Superplex. Preston excites his audience by his capacity to relate to them, but we admire him more for unabashedly leaving his heart on the canvas. This young, dynamic artist has earned his place in the annals of Bahamian art history. And today, we are here to celebrate our son of the soil, Mr. Preston Hanna, the artistic door to a new Bahamas. Preston, welcome to the stage tonight.
Thank you. I am honored to be here.
Yes, so are we. I was only able to touch on just a few of your accolades. I have to let you know, you are very well known. Ever since I shared our flyers and your brief highlight, I have had persons messaging me and calling me, letting me know that they're a fan. They definitely know about Prestonism, so we have to dive into that tonight.
Oh boy.
And also just about your work, how much it speaks to them. So they're really looking forward to tonight's episode. So I know that you have a lot in store for us.
Okay.
First things first. Some of us have been able to see your art throughout the Bahamas, mainly at Bahamar, Fusion Superplex, and others have the privilege of having them on their walls around the world. What was your inspiration to starting your artistic journey and being an active part of the creative sector here in the Bahamas?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Well, basically, my inspiration comes from everything that is around us. Living in the Caribbean, your palette is going to be very colorful. There's so much things to look at, so much things to study, observe. As simple as the sky, the sea. I mean, even if you dive in the ocean, I mean, you seeing colors you can't even explain, you know. So I always try to captivate all those different things on the canvas, and I want to do things that is going to create a conversation. I want to create things that are going to, evoke different emotion, um, and just touch on things in society that we don't necessarily talk about. We know what it is, but we don't necessarily, um, have that conversation. It's taboo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but again, as an artist, we are the historians, we are the storytellers. So definitely, it is definitely our duty to do so. And at the end of the day, artwork is something that doesn't just translate now. It's something that lives beyond us. So at the end of the day, it's about creating a legacy. So at the end of the day, with me personally, I took the journey of being an art teacher. So again, too, putting in those different stepping stones for my students as well. At the end of the day, I have to be a role model for them, so they can have someone to look up to, or even just have a roadmap for them to follow. But at the end of the day, I want them to uh, you know have their own journey. But there's nothing wrong with leaving those stepping stones to help and encourage their growth.
Definitely. First of all, I really want to applaud you for being in the teaching profession. That is a role that does not get us flowers as much as it should, but it always leaves a mark. Like your students, they stay with you. I absolutely adored my teachers in primary and high school. There's also an art teacher from my alumni, Sinan. Sorry to throw the school in there, but Mr. Kim Smith, he does incredible work dedicated to art. And so I can understand where your passion comes from. And I appreciate the fact that you are looking out for the future generations of the Bahamas so that this isn't something that is lost in the system. Them being able to understand that art is more than just splashes of color and lines on a page, and realizing that they can actually pour themselves into that, see themselves, and even reflect on different parts of who they are. One of the things I really appreciated is you talking about getting the inspiration from what you see. So as a child, I remember like sea grape leaves, opening the dilly, seeing the big soursop like fall from the tree onto the floor. And as a child, your imagination, your curiosity runs wild. And so you see the colors and you see the textures, and you may not understand them, but you remember them. So even as an artist, this is something that you can capture. And also your mentioning of the senses. We don't realize that this is also something that is a deep part of what art is all about.
Definitely, definitely.
And also realizing that that is where our different interpretations of it is, right? So it's kind of like the fun part of going to art exhibits and art museums. Five people can come in, two can see it one way, a third see it a totally different way. And as far as they're all concerned, it's all art. And so that just really speaks to the beauty of it. And of course, when it even comes to your pieces, because there was a specific set of work that I had seen from you, not even knowing who you were, and it just spoke to me instantly. So you're absolutely doing that and more through your work.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So this particular piece that I'm speaking about is located in Fusion Superplex at the Altitude Restaurant. It was my first time there, and I could not keep my eyes off of it. I had to know if it was Bahamian because I'm like, everything's popping out at me. So tell us more for those who have not had the pleasure of being able to see this or any of your pieces, and talk about the meaning behind what it represented.
So the work at Fusion Superplex, those pieces work in harmony with the space, and like I feel like what it does too, it creates this energy because you're going to that establishment, and when you walk up those stairs and you sit to that table, you're anticipating this meal, this wonderful meal, this flavorful meal. And
Mm-hmm.
you sit there and you see these paintings. It sort of like builds your anticipation. It cleanses your palate, and you're like, ooh, oh boy, just looking in here, there's a lot going on. And sometimes what I find is when people look at artwork, they look at it in a way where it's relatable to them. So what it does, it evokes, different emotions, and I find that some of the chefs there, they tailor their the menu, so that it sort of
Mm.
goes with, the artwork, even like the cocktails and stuff like that. So it works in harmony. That's what
Okay.
that space is all about, But again, with the artwork, I like to work in chaos. So
Mm.
what happens is I would start with a really interesting background with a lot of different colors. I like to use color theory because that is very important, to really get your viewers captivated, and sort of like being able to follow the story in each piece. And, pretty much once you start with that chaos, then it's my responsibility as an artist to now calm that down and create a structure that you're able to relate to. So, for instance, when you talk about the dilly dropping on the floor, um, automatically your senses pop in. There's now a smell that
Mm-hmm.
comes with the strong aroma.
Yes, that sweetness.
Mhm. So again, these are the things that you want to cultivate in the work. So a lot of times, working through that chaos and you putting in that structure, you're you're the artist. You're putting it together, but you're also trying to think as someone who is viewing this work as well. So at the end of the day, you get the maximum impact, and at the end of the day, your work. Um, it evolves. It evolves over time, and you get the maximum, um, I guess, response from our viewers. And I can tell you, artists, they really look for, that strong response from their audience. That's everything.
Definitely. I really love how you made that link between food and art. So talking about cleansing the palate, getting excited, because food is all about how it looks, right? Of course, we know what it smells like, definitely what it tastes like. We need our money's worth, but it connects with the eyes. So being able, as you stated, to kind of have yourself in that place before you even see the menu.
Mm.
That is powerful.
It creates that excitement. You're ready. It already
Mm.
puts you in a mood like, okay, this food can taste good.
Yeah. You know? And, it kind of helps you to understand people who just kind of walk into a room and they're like, I'm feeling it already.
Hmm.
I'm ready. I'm down. Let's do this. Let's do this.
That's a vibe.
There you go.
Hmm.
The vibe. Hey, and everything is energy.
There you go. Awesome.
There you go. So one of the things that I really wanted to touch on, and it has a lot to do with our topic today, the shared soul of the Caribbean, is talking about your series of artwork called Soul Vibrations and realizing how much it connects with the Caribbean, who we are, and how we are all linked together.
Okay, so with Soul Vibrations, that's a series where I try to, I guess, touch on like a lot of things that we have in common as Caribbean people. If you notice in some of the paintings, they have like different fruits, um, the colors that are common
Yes.
to the Caribbean. Like, for instance, let's say you go to the United States, and it could be a crowd of people, but you hear an accent, you're like, hold on now, I know American.
Facts.
That's a Bahamian, or that's one Jamaican, or that's one, listen, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's that connection that you have, and it isn't something necessarily that you could touch. It's a feeling,
Yes.
it's a vibration.
Yes.
So that's where that really came from. That's like really stemmed from. So at the end of the day, when creating that series, the females who I try to capture in the piece, these are all females from all over the Caribbean. Some reside here. Some I had to reach out and talk to on Instagram, and be like, "Hey, it's a really nice picture. Can I use this?" Okay, cool, awesome. But each of those individuals, um, they they have something going for them. Meaning, they're not someone who just, I guess, sit at home and wait for someone to do something for them. They are go getters. So at the end of the day, the vibe that these people have is it's a shared energy where they are all seeking for a better life. And pretty much with that theme, I think for a lot of people that is something all of us are really looking for. All of us are looking for a better life, um, prosperity and different things. So the series, um, pretty much like the I guess the response I've got from it, like um, when people approach me about the work, each person gets a whole different energy from it. So a lot of times when I have shows, um, I don't necessarily like to just come right out and tell you what the piece is about, and give you my aspect about it. Sometimes it's really good to you know let people tell you, hey,
Yeah.
what you see in this piece, what kind of feeling you get, which piece in here you like, which piece stands out to you, and that in itself, it's very interesting to hear some of the responses that people get, and that's just the vibration of it all.
Absolutely. I agree. I love the fact that with your artistic eye, because we can't all be artists, but there's a certain thing that you all see. And you were able to point out these ladies from different parts of the Caribbean and create them into a different art form in a way that we can all appreciate. And I think that's absolutely beautiful because it's your interpretation, something that cannot be questioned, something that cannot be duplicated. Um, and those subjects may not realize this, but they are going to live on through your work because art never dies.
Definitely.
Throughout the generations within itself, it always evolves into something deeper, more soulful, more connective. So I really love that you were able to do that and that you chose to do that, to think about your Caribbean roots as well as your Bahamian roots, and explore that and see how well we all can mesh together, just all of the similarities in different forms.
Definitely, definitely.
So, of course, I knew you was waiting on this. Everybody has to know because we've been hearing about it.
Oh boy.
What is Prestonism? This amazing art and dance show that so many people know you for, but some of us have not had the chance to learn about. So fill us in.
Okay, so Prestonism is it's a live art and dance show. It was derived from a show I did years ago at a Sandos, and it was called Dream in Color.
Okay.
And the brainchild for that was Rondi Smith. We worked together, and we made this thing a reality. Um, Years later, um, going off on my own, going to different establishments and stuff like that, rebranded, regrouped, different team, different concept. The main idea for the show was to uh, help out different charities. So, for instance, the show encompasses me painting for 45 minutes. But during that time of me painting 45 minutes, there is a theme of love. But it's not just you being happy in love. It's you being angry in love. It's you being sad. It's different emotions to that love. And that's conveyed in the music and conveyed in the dancing. So what would happen is it would be, let's say it was like 10 dances. There were like different scenes that were depicted, and they would dance to these different music and just some awesome choreography, a bunch of talented individuals. You had people doing contemporary hip hop, you had a balancing act, you had contortion. It was so much different aspects to the show. But you sitting in the audience, it's like you witnessing all these different aspects of love. You there, like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. Yeah, oh, so it's like it's a lot.
All your emotions then stir up.
Exactly. You all in your feelings in the show. And during all of this, there's this there's this piece being created. It's being um, unveiled to you like every minute, different layers. Um, and at the end of that 45 minutes, the painting would be revealed.
Wow.
And I mean, people from all over the world when they saw the show, they was like, whoa, like okay, this is this is different, you know. And the painting was auctioned off. The proceeds went to charity to help out young kids to buy books for school, different
Okay.
uniforms and different things that they needed. It was a very very good initiative with the show. Um, so yeah, it was one of those shows, boy. If
Mm.
you wasn't there, mm.
Hey, you miss it. I can't even tell you about it. All I just say you miss it. That's it. I can't see nothing else. You know. Honestly, from your description, I can just imagine being in the audience and I am on this roller coaster. So let's just say it start off with like, puppy love. I'm like, oh,
There
my
you
first love, being a teenager. Now you have your first argument, your first fight, your first breakup.
go.
Like you say, row day comes. Now you're in a different phase of your life, and
Definitely,
you
definitely.
get a little triggered. You remember you had to be there for your girl or your guy, and you be in their corner, and then it's just like, and the thing is, with all of that, as it builds you up, it starts to also build you down. Do you know what I mean? As you stated, reaching this sense of peace with love. With that comes like wisdom, acceptance, maturity, understanding that love evolves. And so I can just imagine almost kind of like clutching their pearls,
Hmm.
and then you show the artwork, and it just seals the deal.
And what it does too is it makes people feel a part of the process. So they are definitely attached to this artwork, So yeah, it's a very dynamic show.
Absolutely. Now, hey, you tell us what all of this. Do you think? And I'm only asking because other people want to ask, right? Do you think that is possible? There can be an encore.
Of course,
Oh, love it.
of course. You
Love it.
just need the right space, the right environment, the right people, a lot of rights.
Okay. Anytime you got a list, you do the check boxes, tick, tick,
Mm,
tick. There you go.
definitely, because it's show business is it's a lot of work.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work, and you find that artists they are perfectionists.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you don't want to just release a product just to release it. You want it to be meaningful. You want it to be insightful. You want it to have all the emotions that you want your audience to gather from this. So at the end of the day, it has to be done correct.
Yes. And as I stated before, we cannot understand fully the artist's perspective and the vision. It's only when he does the final reveal that we even get a glimpse. Because, even then, it's just a speck.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And so that really connects with the perfectionism aspect of it, which is awesome. All right, that's good. Well, Preston, we're gonna keep in touch. I missed out on the first one. Can't miss out on the second.
Definitely. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when it's the next one.
Excellent. So, of course, congratulations again on your art pieces being seen and displayed around the world. How did it feel to see your art go from local to international spaces and even spaces that you hadn't even dreamed of?
It was alright.
I like that. It's like humble brag.
No, I mean, I think for a lot of artists, especially going to that journey, you we all, aspire to, reach a certain level. Um, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice. It takes consistency. And when that finally happens, listen to me. It's a feeling. It's a feeling. And I think the first time it happened, like I was in disbelief. I was like, "What's happening? Me? Okay, all right." And then that one leads to the next and the next, and um, from that one experience to this, it just became bigger and bigger. Um, but at the end of the day, you always have to remember who you are and stay true to your purpose.
Yes.
You don't let certain things really get to you or change the individual that you are. And that's something that I try to also implement in the classroom
Mhm.
with my students. Just stay humble. There are moments when you need to speak up,
Yeah.
but for the most part, being humble, staying in your lane, and just I guess being patient.
Mhm.
Because opportunities will come.
Yes.
It may not look that way, but they do. And when that opportunity comes, you have to seize that moment. So it is important to always be working, to always stay consistent. Um, I find social media was a big help. Consistently just posting work that you're doing and just staying in the public's eye. Very, very, very important. Because at the end of the day, you don't know who's watching.
Very true. Yes.
You know, very important. Once ago, your work would just go into a gallery space, and whoever went to that gallery, they see it, and that was it.
Yeah.
But social media pretty much opened the doors where your work is seen all over the world. And I've been contacted from people on social media. I'd be like, so you see me? See me? See? So yeah, so definitely I would encourage artists, young artists, um, to really post on social media and post meaningful things, because at the end of the day, there is a huge responsibility when it comes to creating work.
Hmm. Very much so. And I think that you should show your art the same respect that you did in creating it. So you know what I mean? Like it is a representation of you. So do it the right way. Do it how you want to be seen to the world.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
And I really appreciate that you talked about social media in a positive way because you often hear a lot that, you know, it can be demanding or people just feel really judged. But I love the perspective that you gave that look at it as a way of a window of constant opportunity. You never know who's looking at your work, admiring it, wanting to capture a piece of that, wanting to understand you better as an artist. And you yourself would grow through that as well because you link with other artists, see their work, find an inspiration for another series. And I think sometimes when we see ourselves outside of the box, whether it be physical or mental, a box that we've created for ourselves or that others have done, we can really see our potential and tap into our purpose, as you said. But if we never post, if we never put it out there, how will you know?
Hmm. You shouldn't wait to be discovered. You should always be working. So when you are discovered, they see you when you're working. So even if the opportunity doesn't come the way you want it to come, at the end of the day, you know what it is to work without that opportunity.
Mhm.
You know, that's very important. But also too, um, as an artist, it's not easy. I always like to use this illustration of being an artist. It's like you walking downtown and you go into Russell Square
Mhm.
and a crowd of people is there, and you take off all your clothes and you give your clothes to the people who are walking by,
Wow.
and you are hoping that these people will give you your clothes back. You know? So again, it's rough.
Mhm.
You might be out there naked, but someone might pass you back this or pass you back that. So it's a very, very vulnerable space, you creating and then allowing people to view and see your work and see your process. But as you continue to work, you begin to mature, you begin to evolve, and you learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. And that's a part of the process. You know, that is how we learn. That is how we grow and become better at our craft. And I really liked how you linked purpose into it. For some reason, we get these labels when it comes to what equals purpose, when it comes to like a certain part of the economy or a certain job title, that type of thing. But you rightfully so connected art to your purpose because you understand that. You understand that it has a voice, that it is a part of your legacy, that it continues to evolve. And so I appreciate you sharing that with your students and also with our audience so that they have a reminder that however you are, however you show up, you have a purpose in that period.
Hmm.
It's powerful.
Definitely.
So, one very important question that I want to ask you, Preston, is why is it important that we, as Bahamians and those from the Caribbean, see ourselves represented in art?
Boy, that's a spicy question. Okay, so again, going back to the point, again, artists are storytellers. They're the historians. Um, we find that a lot of a lot of Black history. These are things that you have to really go and research and really go find out what happened at this time and this period. What is this about? Um, and I feel that's where artists really come in and have that responsibility. To really um, captivate different events, different scenes. Once ago you may have had a certain species of fish that we used to roam in the waters, and then now it ain't animal. So at the end of the day, it's important that artists, document these things in such a way that people years from now, when they see it, they're like, okay, this fish exists, or this flower exists, or this building was here. Like these are things that are very, very important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you find also too that when you travel and you go different places in the world, um, artwork is a big representation of who these countries and these cities are.
Yes.
You come there. I mean, you might go to Florida and buy some things, But if you really venture the city, you're going to find that there are monuments all over the place. There are museums. There
Oh,
are artwork. There are murals all over the place. And I feel that here in the Bahamas, we lack those things. We need to have more artwork, definitely in the downtown area. At the end
mm-hmm.
of the day, the artwork evokes different emotions. It gives that energy. You imagine me coming off the cruise ship and all the buildings just gray. Hold on now, there it is. I need to go back on my ship.
Yeah, it sometimes it feels like cold or empty. Yeah.
Yes, so it's very important to have artwork, all over the Caribbean because we have so much to offer. You know,
Yes.
I find that if you was to go to, let's say you go to Europe and you look at the artwork that they have there, a lot of it is dark,
Mm-hmm.
and it's dark because that's what they live. That's their reality. So you come there with this colorful thing, they looking at you say, well, what you so happy for? What is this?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's very, very, very important, um, to have these, but it's also to give ourselves that identity of who we are. You know, very important.
Definitely. I loved two of the aspects that you mentioned. So the first is being able to capture the history, understanding that sense of responsibility, because I can only imagine how my grandparents and my great grandparents would feel seeing a piece of artwork or a postcard that depicts a place that they loved as a kid, that they visited all the time. And little old me, I just picked this up out of the store. I thought it looked pretty. I like the colors, and for them, the range of emotions that it evokes is beyond something I can even understand unless they tell me. But that could have only happened because that artist took up and understood that level of responsibility, and in that there's a passing of generational knowledge, because now I know, now I understand, like now I realize the value of what I have in my hand or on
Definitely.
my wall. And so I grow to appreciate it when I see the spaces that I love drawn, and I pass that on. And that's not something that we think about, you know, because, you know, we in the Bahamas, so we so used to seeing these things. Like,
Hmm.
this could always be here,
We
you
take a
know?
lot of things for granted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, then when it's gone, we're searching, you know, digging, as you stated, for a piece of that history, a piece of that memory. Um, you know, and we can only hope that we're able to find it in some shape or form. And I also appreciated how you mentioned that art is different in other cultures, in other countries around the world. You know, we don't just kind of go around like, okay, is if this is what I understand it to be here, then this is what it is everywhere, and that is not reality.
Hmm. So true.
So I appreciated you giving us a little bit of that art culture just now. So when we go in other spaces, we don't expect Bahamian art, but we also appreciate what our art is, and we know what it is
Hmm.
to be able to talk about it. That's beautiful. So we got a little bit of education tonight.
Just a little bit. Just a little
This vision.
bit.
So, Preston, you had shared so much with us, really emphasizing the connections that we have with our Caribbean brothers and sisters, and how impactful art is when it comes to sharing that, and the great responsibility that other artists have. And you tease us a little bit with that Prestonism. We got to know what's next for you. How can we support you? What's next?
Boy. All right. Just getting spicier and spicier. Okay. Um. Well, I am working on quite a few projects. Um, I do a lot of commission work, um, locally and internationally. Um, but I think the biggest thing that would need some real support would be the educational system. Um, for years, just being in the classroom, not having supplies, making miracles happen.
Mhm.
That would definitely be um, a huge help. Um, to definitely be able to have materials for the students so that they're able to, really dabble into different mediums, so that they're able to, I guess, truly see, what kind of artists they are, what kind of artists they want to be. And again, it's not just, the painting and drawing. There's so much different aspects of art out there, but definitely that would be, a huge help, to help the youth, because at the end of the day, they got a future.
Yes,
You can be old and they can be out there, and you want these people to have the right mindset to really build the Bahamas and let it be something that we can celebrate together.
absolutely. And if we can, even right now, equip them with the right tools, then they're able to discover themselves at this age and continue to evolve. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful. You know, I remember art class, and as you stated, there are the different types of art. And I have a nephew now; he's learning it, and you know, just thinking about him and other children, they just have such a zest for learning. You know, if you just have the equipment there, they are just going to grab and discover, and they're so honest. They
Hmm.
will tell you what they like and what they don't like,
Definitely.
as
Yeah.
you stated. Just us being able to understand that and remember how we were as kids, what we would have wanted, and being able to give back in that way. So I thank you so much for that, and it's absolutely food for thought. And I know that a teacher's patience and heart is ever growing. You're always given, for sure. So I know that you were speaking from truth when you talked about needing the supplies for the kids and thinking about
Definitely. Definitely.
Preston, I have absolutely loved our conversation today. You have spoken so deeply about art in a way that some of us may not have ever known, but are able now to walk away with our heads held high, seeing our artwork, remembering our past, tapping into our future, and most importantly, seeing ourselves through the art, beyond the color, beyond the image, and really connecting to the meaning of it all. I've listed quite a few places where your work is. I know a couple people could be running, getting their palate cleansed, sitting down. So I feeling the vibrations. Let's go. And I thank you for connecting the Caribbean with that, remembering that, tapping into it, and showing the shared soul that we all have. I appreciate your work.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
You're welcome. So, of course, if you want to connect with Preston, get your hands on his one-of-a-kind artwork, you can follow him at Prestonism, that's Prestonism, on Instagram. And he also has a sip and splash experience for you inner artists out there. So you can follow him at Sip and Splash Bahamas on Instagram or call 242-806-7476. As a reminder, this episode is proudly sponsored by Amber L. A special thank you to our audience and also to our guest speaker, Preston, who is doing an amazing job in impacting the world and the youth through his artwork. Can't wait to see what's next. He's already given us a glimpse. And of course, we all want to show our support. If you're just tuning in, you can watch the full episode as a replay on this Facebook page. And remember to tune in next week for another episode of Vibration, where we raise your frequency and amplify your truth. Bye, everyone.